wonder why Filipinos are such good singers. I see an American, I know them, rude, loud, blunt.
This is not acceptable!
Filipinos often have this perspective to owe a lot. The moment they get into college, okay, you have to land a good job and you have to pay us back.
I'm AJ, a mixed Filipino born and raised in America.
And I'm Brant, a Filipino, born and raised in the Philippines.
And we're gonna have a conversation about our cultures, what's the differences and what's the similarities, really. I think it's going on 8 months since I've lived here. For someone that's from the Philippines, what does home mean to you right now in one sentence?
I think where family is.
I would say the same thing, where you feel loved. Like where you feel wanted, those things make you feel at home. And that's what the Philippines actually makes me feel like. And I think that has a lot to do with Filipino culture.
Was it because of your family was here before?
I think being raised by my grandma was the Filipina and she was from Cagayan de Oro. A lot of things that she'd do around the house, a lot of things she'd cook, the way she spoke, I see those similarities here. And it just reminds me of being at home.
That was here in the Philippines. You were raised in?
I was raised in California.
In California.
Yeah.
But it's just like the familiarity between like,
When I came here, I started being like, wow, this is why my grandma was the way she was. Like such a sweet, caring family person. I see that a lot in the people here. And you don't really see that in other countries as often, or at least I didn't in my experiences. Southeast Asian countries, but especially the Philippines, feel like home, to go back to that question. Have you lived in any other country or visited many other countries?
Yeah, mostly within Southeast Asia. So
Okay.
I've been Singapore, but I've lived in China for like a couple of months for an exchange student thing.
How was that experience? Because 2 months is still like a good amount of time.
Yeah, it was fun.
You're part Chinese.
I'm part Chinese.
And was there family there too?
No.
Oh, okay. Did you ever feel homesick being away or?
Oh yeah. When you go into a new place and then stay there for a couple of months, the first 2 weeks, severe homesickness. Like I was literally sick in China. I was like, oh, I can't do this anymore. Like this is hard. And then you get acclimated.
Yeah. Traveling a lot is you get used to uncomfortable feelings. Like you become more durable to life and throwing yourself in these weird situations. You know, I was alone traveling a lot. I remember the first time I went to Seoul. It was my first time being completely alone traveling in a country where no one understood me. And I had a mini panic attack.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, while I was editing one day, I just started breathing heavy and I was just like, where am I? Like, what am I doing here? Like, no one knows me here. Like, my family's thousands and thousands of miles away. And I had to calm myself down a little bit, but that moment never hit again. Like, I never felt that freaked out again. I kind of just, what came and went like a wave. I started loving being there. Yeah, it transformed into me being open to something so different and me embracing this opportunity that many people don't get to experience in their whole life. Putting myself in that mindset to where I was like, I'm thankful for every day I have here and to learn from this culture. And I feel like every place taught me something different, but nothing ever felt like home. That's the thing. Like I did love just traveling, but I always just wanted to come back to somewhere afterwards and be like, I'm home now.
So how has your idea of success changed over the years?
That's a big one for me because I feel like my whole purpose of leaving was a pursuit of happiness. And when I was in California, my pursuit was success. But what I thought success was in my early 20s, how rich can I be? How many people could know me? How much fame could I get? Like my mindset was in such that place because I feel like the American media and culture tells you you need more. You need more money, you need more exposure, and that's the only way to really make it. And not to really enjoy the journey. So everyone is constantly in grind mode. And that's what I felt, especially in LA. When I finally had enough of that is when I shifted my perspective from pursuit of success or pursuit of fame and fortune to pursuit of happiness. That's how my perspective of success has changed, really. I've seen so many people get lost in the grind set of money, success, fame, and then you see them get it, but then you still see them miserable. Was all that grind and sacrifice worth it in the end if you're not happy?
You said about the pursuit of happiness. Like right now you've shifted.
Yeah.
What is happiness to you now?
Happiness to me is genuine, loving people around you, whether that be friends, family, people that you can share your experiences with. I think the last time I had that was when I lived at home with my grandparents and then they passed away and then all of my family spread out. The way that I would continue life from that on was just working working so much, which a lot of Americans do. Like, I feel like right straight out of high school, you had this pressure to go to college, pick something you want, and stick to that, and then work hard to get all those material things that you need, and then have a family, the American dream. I noticed, that wasn't making me happy. I started to question that. Like, why isn't this making me happy? Isn't this what everybody wants? Like, am I living my dream or am I living someone else's dream? If you're really living someone else's dream, or like the American dream that is pushed so much on Americans, that you see so many people unhappy. I feel like you can never be happy alone. And I think life is not about being alone. It's about sharing experiences. That's the whole purpose of family, of friends, of connection. Like, we're here to do that. Why would we be put here to just isolate ourselves in a room and have all these years go by? When you see that happen to so many people, it messes them up. I know a lot of people like to talk about being introverted and glorifying that, but I think it's balanced. You have too much introvertedness, it's gonna ruin you in some way.
Yeah.
It's gonna take its toll. And it started to do that with me, because I used to say it a lot. Like, I'm an introverted person, I can't hang out. And when I finally had that breaking point, I left the country and I started embracing friendships and meeting people of different places and seeing the value in that.
So I grew up already having a plan. I wasn't really good academically, but like, I always knew that the moment I graduated college, I was immediately gonna climb the corporate ladder. Elementary, I wanted people to call me sir already. I wanted to be the guy who was wearing the tux, going out to offices, climbing up from someone who's an associate up until becoming like a president or a CEO of my own company.
Nice.
I've always wanted that. I've been in the industry for like just a couple of years, and now I'm tired. Yeah.
Just
dude.
after a couple of years.
Just after a couple of years.
Wow.
But I've climbed fast, thankfully. The moment I graduated, I got into a supervisory position. I didn't even start as an associate. After a year or two, I became a manager, and I was like, okay, maybe I've already gotten past success that I wanted. After every single milestone that I've gotten, the moment I got into manager, I was miserable. You get to a certain point, and then you start thinking, it's like, okay, I'm supposed to be happy now. Because I thought that getting that outcome was happiness for me. I'm a manager. I should be happy. I've gotten this amount of money. I should be happy. Like, no, why am I not happy anymore? Somehow that like burnt me out at some point, which made me leave Cebu and go into a completely new place where I knew no one. I came here to Davao.
Which is here.
So, just here. Success for me probably is something that I still have to figure out. So I'm just like riding the wave.
We had somewhat of a similar experience, I guess, of hitting a milestone and being like, why isn't this making me happy? And then shifting. But I guess be thankful in that way of finding it out early, because I feel like people don't even reach those milestones like years into their careers. And a lot of time, maybe it's too late to switch even.
I grew up in a Chinese household. Like, I grew up with my parents. My crib was in the middle of our store back in Butuan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because like I stayed there with my grandpa. I called my grandpa Angkong in Chinese. Angkong and Ama. My mom would be working on the bank. Then my dad was there. So we had like our own family business. And I grew up at that place. I've always had family dinners, family lunches all the time. Every single day to be seated with your entire family and just talk about what's going on with your day. Right now, I'm getting into the age where I have to start a family. Well, I have to, but I want to start a family. Yeah. But if I get to the point where I can make a business, I'm trying to find what career would land me that I have my own kids, I have my own family, that even though I have work, I'm beside them.
So a lot of your idea of success is rooted back from your upbringing.
My upbringing.
And seeing your parents as grinders in that way. Like you said, you were raised right there in their business.
I was there, yeah.
So
I grew up. The moment I reached like grade school, I was already the cashier of our business. I was already doing all that stuff there.
So do you think that's like a Filipino experience, or is that like an Asian experience? Chinese experience?
I think it's mostly like a Filipino-Chinese experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've had close friends. They also grew up the same way. So we joked around because we couldn't go out on like Saturdays and Sundays because we were like
hustling at a young age.
Hustling at a young age. Like
I see that a lot here too. Like I'll be walking around and see the little fried chicken shops and the little kids like cleaning the tables. I'm like, yo, they're working right now, which is so interesting. And
like just right beside them, like a kumon assignment that they have to finish.
You definitely don't see that in America. That's something where I came here and I was like, wow, American kids are lazy. Filipinos are hard workers. What's a stereotype about your culture that you actually think is true? I know one,
What is it?
that Filipinos are really good singers.
Oh, that's
Like a stereotype like everywhere around the world. And then when I came to the Philippines and like we go to church, everyone's a good singer. Like when you go to Filipino church, it's like you're in a concert.
Yeah.
Everyone's singing, everyone on the altar, like they all are hitting notes perfectly.
Have you seen those videos where artists like from other countries come to here and then you hear the entire
Like
crowds?
Bruno Mars?
Yeah, Bruno Mars.
Yes. And I wonder why Filipinos are such good singers, because other cultures like Japan, like they have karaoke. But what is it about Filipinos? Or maybe confident enough
Probably
to
we're
really
confident enough. Because like people in the Philippines, you've seen so many videos of them singing in a karaoke in the middle of the mall. Like, who has the balls to actually sing in front of the mall? Filipinos.
True.
Only Filipinos actually
Yes.
have that kind of
maybe-
confidence to start singing.
The one thing I noticed is that Filipinos always have group parties and group get-togethers. Everything becomes a party and it makes people feel good about themselves, enough to be themselves and be confident. I think when I've traveled to many countries and I see an American, I know them. Because I'm like, oh yeah, they're the stereotype of like rude, loud, blunt. I think that's a true thing about Americans, sadly. Do you know any stereotypes about Americans? Maybe even positive ones?
I'm not sure if it's a stereotype, but it's like something that I admire about them is that even though Filipinos are like this hospitable, they don't necessarily like wave hi to a bunch of people, right? Like you go to hotels, you see Filipino to Filipino, they're not gonna be like, hey.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We do that when we're like on another country, but when we're here in the Philippines, we're not necessarily like very hi hello to people that we walk past. Americans just like, oh yeah, what's up? Hey, how's your day going? It's like, oh, okay.
Wow. I didn't notice that.
Yeah,
Wow.
Americans do that. So that's why majority of the conversations I have when I go to hotels or when I go to like my condo, when I see an American, they strike up a conversation. Okay, whoa, I want to do that. I want to be able to have that confidence to like
That
just
is true.
randomly talk to a bunch of people and not worry about it. You guys are doing that. You guys do that.
That
right?
gives me some perspective because I didn't even notice that. I didn't notice that
Really?
that I haven't seen that a lot. And yeah, you're right.
One cultural thing that Filipinos do is that they're very accommodating, majority to non-Filipinos that come in.
Oh.
So they're like, "Oh, you're an American. What's up? Oh, you're a foreigner. Come here."
yeah.
So it's not like towards other
Filipinos.
So what's the biggest lifestyle difference between the Philippines and the US?
I would say Filipinos are more laid back, but at the same time they're not because they're always working. Like they're always like grinding. Family is way more important here. Like everything revolves around family. Like a lot of decisions. That's more of like the core of Filipinos lifestyle. Like they do everything for their family, right? Where Americans more about yourself. Once you leave that nest in America, that's like a very cultural thing. You hit 18, you're out of the house. You don't really live with your parents anymore. American culture, they see that as you're a failure.
But I've noticed two things though. It's like there's a good and a bad for both how an American lives, like to focus on self. And there's also a bad with how the Filipinos focus on family too. Because like I grew up, I'm very grateful to be growing up with like a very good family where it's not toxic at all. Because a lot of Filipinos, because their entire life is centered around family, Filipinos often have this perspective to owe a lot. But some people, they make their children as their retirement. The moment they get into college,
Yeah.
okay, you have to land a good job and you have to pay us back for bringing you into this world.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah, you've heard it a lot. It's like a common thing here in the Philippines too.
Especially the Filipinos that move abroad.
Yeah.
Like I've met so many in Australia and I've met so many in America. They're constantly sending money back.
Yeah.
But my grandma, she'd even send cars, like she'd buy her brother a car like every year as a thank you for being
Yeah.
my older brother. Yeah.
You'd want to. Like, there's a thing about Filipino having family as one of your priorities to give back to your family, and that's great. But there are some families here in the Philippines who have that entitlement to like demand and want to do things, and then their children having also that perspective of family comes first tends to deprive themselves from doing anything. Thankfully, I have like a family who like supports me and says, hey, you go do your thing.
Yes.
If you want to give back, just give back, whatever.
That's
like,
good.
There's no problem.
That's cool.
I think also for the US, it's like your focus on yourself can be both good and bad because you're focusing on yourself if it's like a good thing where you're not cutting people off and just focusing on your growth versus other people is like so focused on their self that like they become selfish towards other people.
I wish there was a balance in between. Like you said, you could shift too far to one side and it becomes toxic. But I saw a lot of American friends that cut off their family. You hear that a lot. People cut off their family in America a lot, and it's like no big deal. Yeah, over there. But you made a point with it could be too far on the other side. What's one thing from each of our cultures that we wish people in the world understood?
I think majority of my perspective is going to be on like being a Filipino-Chinese person, that kind of culture. Just making sure that your kids are okay, your parents are all good, they have everything that they need plus more. That being the only force to move you forward and not to like act selfishly is like a thing that I wish a lot of people would also be doing. But this is only for people who have like good family relations.
Yeah,
I would say like for your family to people who have obviously not been supportive of you. But there's still a balance.
Filipinos in general, the main driving force, the main motivation seems to be family. Yes, whether it's the family you're going to want to create or the family that has taken care of you. That should be distilled more to people who grew up with healthy family. And not to repeat that process, don't repeat the pattern. And that's
break the chain, yeah.
Yeah, break the chain, because that's like what my brother did. We were raised by my mom, which eventually had us raised by my grandparents because she needed help. And there was always this resentment towards our father who isn't really in our lives. And that really affects a lot of people in America. Like people with no fathers tend to do more self-destructive things later in life for some reason, whether you're a female or a male. You always hear a lot about fatherless kids.
Daddy issues.
Yeah,
guys,
daddy issues both on men and on women. What my brother did is instead of repeating that pattern, he has 2 sons now and he's the best dad to them. He told me too that the reason he is because he knows what it's like when you don't have one. Like he knows that feeling. And I hope more people can see that instead of being like to their kids, oh, I never had a dad, so you better toughen up, or, you know, like don't repeat the toxicity. How do people in your country think about money, saving, spending, or planning for the future?
People love debt here in the Philippines. Like people love to borrow here in the Philippines. Borrowing to borrow to pay for another loan because they have to pay for this loan, they have to pay for that loan. So every single time that when payday comes in, it's immediately gone because they have to pay off all their other bills.
Other ones, well.
And because they have to pay for all their other bills, they need to survive. So they get another loan.
And it's a constant cycle.
And it's a constant cycle. Because I've seen a lot on social media how Filipinos flex how much credit limit they have, which I don't think is something to be flexed. I used to enjoy like, oh, okay, I have like a 100K credit limit. And now I realize because how bad debt is. This much credit limit on Shopee Pay, this much credit limit on my credit cards. I'm rich. It's like, no, you're not. You just have a lot of possible things that you can borrow from. I don't blame them from ever going into debt at that point because sometimes it's necessary for them to just put food on the table for their families.
Yeah, I think the politics of it digs deep, as I've heard a lot of things about
super deep.
How rich the Philippines could be. In America, it's more like a big thing with school loans, pressuring kids to pick the right thing for college into a major that they didn't really love. And they spent a few years doing that and then switch majors, which I think is a lot of the reason why a lot of young Americans can't even afford like living in their own place because they're constantly talking about, oh, I'm still paying my school debt.
I think we're going towards a direction where people are now becoming more financially literate. It's just that in the status quo that we have now, we're still at that point where people are going into debt because they have no other choice to survive. You don't really have enough bandwidth to think about the future because you need to survive today.
That's something I found interesting too, is that in America, a lot of people my age or even younger have stopped wanting to have kids or things like that, or their future of having a family because of financial. Same with like in Korea, Japan, like they know kids are so expensive. I've noticed here in the Philippines, like a kid and a family comes before those decisions usually. Yeah, like they're just like, we love each other, let's have a kid, we'll figure it out.
It boggles me because right now we're at like an age where it's a financial boom. My uncle had 10 people in their family, like 10 siblings. And I have other Filipino families who also had like more than 10 kids. And they were able to survive that with like a minimum income or whatnot. So I'm like, how is that possible? And now, right now, we're like thinking about like having one kid is already stressful. And they were like able to survive with 15, 10 plus kids. I don't know how that's possible.
Crazy times. My grandma too. She had like 8 brothers and sisters.
How does your country view mental health, stress, and all others?
In recent years, it's been a big conversation. They've had a big therapy boom of people talking about mental health, anxiety, stress. That wasn't really talked about much like 10 years ago at all. People would just be like, they wouldn't blame a lot of things on depression. But I think it does reach an extreme too, where everyone, it's almost like they self-diagnose themselves with a mental illness.
And then they use that as an excuse.
Yeah, it's used that as an excuse to not do things. That's the negative of it. But I do like that people are having more of the conversation about it, to be aware of those feelings. But I think people get too scared of anxiety and use that to stop themselves from being motivated to do something instead of learning to live with those uncomfortable feelings that we talked about, even traveling. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations in order to grow. I feel like if you don't put yourself in those uncomfortable situations, you'll stay at this current size that you are. You won't flourish into what you could potentially be because of all those fears. A big topic in America too is that a lot of the youth is very sensitive. If you say something slightly criticizing towards someone these days, they'll be like, oh, you're hurting my mental health, or you're bullying me. I think there should be a balance. We should be able to be honest and open, not just always positive all the time. I think that's also toxic positivity, and not overly negative. So self-care, taking care of yourself in more ways than none, like the external part of ourselves as well as the internal. I think that's big in America. And there's a lot of businesses booming off that, like self-help books, self-help podcasts, therapy online. Yeah, there's so many things now, businesses that have come to help a lot of people struggling. What about here in the Philippines?
So mental health is like something that I like hold dear to my heart. Like I listen to mental health lectures like every single day, because like every time I get off work, I listen to 1 hour, 2 hour lecture about mental health and stuff. But here in the Philippines, it's like still stigma on mental health. Like people still don't accept it, especially like the older generations. Because the older generations and also some of the newer generations who haven't really gotten into it. Because here in the Philippines, it's like, when you're battling with mental health, people in Catholic or people who like are very into religion immediately say, oh, you just need to pray. Oh, you just need Jesus in your life. And you have to understand that even though that may be the case, mental health is still an illness within the brain. It's still something. There might be an issue with the hormones. There might be something that really bothers you. And here in the Philippines, it's just not as accepted yet. It's like, oh, we don't have anxiety before.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have ADHD before. We just had to deal with it. And I've had this conversation with my parents as well. Why are people now more sensitive? Or why does it bother us more compared to before? And it wasn't because we're sensitive now, but it's actually because we don't give ourselves time to regulate our emotions. What's the first thing you do when you have a bad feeling or you have like a negative emotion? Before, we had no way to calm ourselves. We had to go on a long walk. We had to do a rote task because there wasn't like this hit of dopamine to like calm yourself down. But what do we do now? When something bad happens, we open our phone, we go into TikTok. We can no longer tolerate that kind of discomfort. And that's different before. Because when you had, this is such a simple example, when you had to wait in line before, you had no choice but to wait in line. Right now,
You can whip out your phone.
You can whip out your phone. And that's just a tiny bit of discomfort. Imagine ultimate negative discomfort. Someone breaks up with you, what do? You go bed rot, you watch a bunch of Netflix. You don't even give yourself time to regulate anymore. And it's not because younger people are like that. It's because the entire environment has changed. We no longer have the time to actually, all right, can I calm down, take a deep breath first and take a sip back? No, it's like, bad thing happened, go to TikTok. Bad thing happened, play video games for a long time. And it affects people, even the older ages now, because it affects them too. They're now like, if there's something bad that happens to me, I have to go on my phone. Before, we go drinking, or what do? We play outside. And it's a change there. It's not about generation. It's about literally the environment has changed. And no one has ever taught us, okay, how do you regulate your emotions? If you do have issues with like mental health here in the Philippines, I think it's still not as accepted. The younger generation, at least my generation, Generation Z, and like the coming generations, they've been more vocal about it by telling, hey, if something is wrong, go get help. Because before, in the Philippines, when something is wrong, when you have a mental health issue, they immediately think, oh, you have to go to the mental hospital. You gotta get like, those straight jackets already. One thing that's also big to me is mental health for men.
Yes.
We succumb to constantly talking about like, oh, you just have to be a man. You just have to suck it up. There's no mental health issue. Go to the gym, do all those stuff. That's like, I don't think that's the case. We have to be more open about how we're dealing with emotions, especially since we have the right to feel.
Do you think Philippines is a mixed culture between East and West, or is it Eastern?
No, it's mixed. We were colonized by people in the West.
That's what's interesting, but you can never call Philippines Western
Yeah.
culture. Mental health in Eastern culture is a lot like what you say.
Yeah.
It's not a belief. It's more of like, just deal with it. Just be silent about it.
Just be a man. Just suck it up.
Yeah.
And do that stuff.
But then you see how that affects
Yeah.
so many people in those countries.
This one psychiatrist, he talked about there's a difference between how men and women handle emotions. When you were a kid, how did you grow up? When someone did something bad to you, what do you have to do? Beat them up. Our default emotion for men was anger. The default emotion for women was, to cry, to let things out. So when a woman cries, that's okay because she's expressing her emotions of like being sad. But when a man gets mad, we're villainized for it. We're told that that's not something that you should do. But that's also a man's way of expressing emotions. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that there is a difference on how we were taught to express emotion. So what happens when you suppress your emotions? You blow up
Yeah,
at
you blow
some
up
point.
internally.
You hold it all in until you can no longer handle them. Boom. Bad things happen to guys because, there's like, oh, just cry. It's like, no, that's not the emotion that guys grew up with.
But you see a lot of the result of angry people, and especially in America, a lot of terrible things happen, like
Yeah.
a lot of shootings and things like that's a big stereotype of America, actually.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of people are afraid to go to America because of gun violence. They're like, oh, I don't want to get shot. I've heard that when I lived in Australia. Like, oh,
I
they're
don't wanna
planning
get
trips
shot.
to travel. Well, would you ever go to America? I don't want to get shot.
Yeah.
So that's a big stereotype about America. But it's true. There is I've seen a lot of violence growing up, and it was so normalized being there. But what I've noticed too is that being in the Philippines, I haven't seen one fight. Like I haven't seen much violence here. So I'm curious how Filipino men handle anger here.
No, it's terrible here too.
Is it?
It's terrible here.
Well, thank you, Brant, for coming out, having this breakfast with me. It was great, and a great conversation.
Yeah, awesome
Yeah.
conversation.
If you guys want to see more combos like this, subscribe, comment, let us know your thoughts. What did you learn from this episode? See you next time.
Peace.